Josh Allen, just an update.
Knee, we'll know more tomorrow. I'm sure he'll be out for a little bit.
Talk about how your in-game teaching, especially some of these younger guys, has increased since the roster's been redeveloped.
Well, I could always apply for a job as an air traffic controller, as far as trying to signal. But it's just, as a coach, that's what you kind of enjoy. You live for those type of things, especially when you have a group that we have that's very, they want to learn. And so what they're doing, and so when you tell them something, they're trying it, they're trusting. And so when you get your players that trust as far as what you're doing, what happens is they do it with a lot more aggressiveness, and you usually have a little better outcome.
Is there a different level of resiliency among this team that you've seen over the past 4 games? And you're also talking about the contributions of some of the new
Yeah, I think that we've fallen behind by 10, 7 every game. Our guys we just keep on battling. You're talking about a team that's led the league in rebounding. We out rebounded them, and I wouldn't say that we're exactly an imposing line, but everybody we have, we play everybody. Everybody's having contributions, and some guys get a hook because if they don't move the ball and play the right way, they're not going to play. And so we're getting the idea of moving the ball and playing as far as the right way and understanding mismatches, attacking off mismatches. We got some guys that are really, as far as aggressive. But to be down 10 and lose Josh, who was on a roll when we lost him, and for these guys to fight how they did, that shows a little bit of their character and how hard they play. And as I was told, we were talking before the game, and I said that playing hard is a talent. A lot of people take that as far as something for granted, but some guys have a high motor and can play harder than other guys. Some guys are better jumpers than other guys. We've got a group of guys that have high motors that play with a great amount of aggression and intensity. And what's happened is the new guys that play that way, now all of a sudden Dre and JaVale and those guys they've fallen right into place.
Just to come out, talk about just coming out of that third quarter. So many times the first half of the season, the starts of quarters would be so frustrating, but yet these guys put on a 16-2 run.
I think our players have more of a sense of urgency. I think at times, not taking away from the guys that we had, but I think they thought that we'll just play it and we'll get back in when we have to, and that doesn't always work. And so we played with a greater sense of urgency.
Flip, earlier this season, you've been kind of critical of Blash.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see in the week since Jameson and Butler have gone, a mindset change to him?
I think there's two things. One, he played well when we didn't have Antoine at the beginning of the year, but his mindset has changed, and I think it's not just because the number of those guys are hurt, but I think the changes that he's seen, what we've done with our team. I think the guys that we have within our organization that have been here understood what we went through with the Gilbert situation and everything, and then when we decided to go in a different direction, that it was almost like they're not messing around. This is the way it's going to be. And so he has had a different attitude from a standpoint of a more serious approach to the game, both prior to game, during the game, and after the game. Now, for the first time, he's shown for 4 games, it's been the most consistent that he's been in his career. But that's just the beginning. Now, as I've told him, when you start playing like this, now your expectations become higher. And not only that, but now when you're playing games, now teams are going to set their defense up to pretty much play, to defend you and stop you from going into your key moves and those things. So, but it's part of his whole progression.
There are a lot of guys in the team that free agents have to be, or maybe the futures are a little uncertain. In light of that, how surprising is it that it seems like the guys are really close and they have all this cohesion work?
I think they understand that as we talk to them, if you play well and do things, good things happen. Every time you step on the floor, you're being judged by fans, by media, by other teams' coaches, other teams' general managers. And so it's, for you want to go out and you want to play well. But I think individually, each of those guys has a lot of pride. We have guys, when you look at, James, do you know what school he went to? A lot of people don't, probably. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm saying there's a lot of people don't know where he went to school or where Quentin Ross went to school, at SMU and those things. And so I think what happens is these are guys that have kind of been behind the 8 ball a little bit. And so they're used to maybe being an underdog. And so right now, what all of our guys have done is they've kind of taken that approach. But, hey, I'd say this: no matter what we've had from a team standpoint, we played our best 4 games, our last 4 games. So, as I tell guys, I don't care what anything says, and as far as from a standpoint of what you're being paid, what your talent is, what you are, is how you perform as far as on the floor. And to our guys' credit, they're playing very well as a team. Am I surprised how well they're playing as a team? Basically, they've been together for a week. Yeah, I am. I'm surprised, but it says a little bit about them.
Randy had 9 assists, 1 turnover. Can you talk? It still seems like his decision making is a work in progress. Can you talk about?
He plays the game right now very black and white. If we want to call a play, he's looking for that one option. He's got to get to where he sees multiple options over the course of the play, and that's something he's continually have to continue to try to keep on working with. And it's more of it becomes more of a problem as far as in late game situations, because usually late games they're always going to take away your number one option, no question, because the intensity kicks in.
Could restricting the playbook for all the new faces hurt his development a little bit or change?
Who's Randy's?
Randy.
Well, it probably would help it because it's going to make things more simpler for him from that standpoint.